What if the best money advice you'll ever get came from your mom? I didn't realize it at the time, but my mom was dropping financial wisdom long before I cared about credit scores, savings accounts, or investing. She'd say things like, always save before you spend, or live below your means, even when you don't have to. And of course, like most people in their 20s, I thought I knew better. But after a few financial mistakes, and a lot of unnecessary stress, I finally saw it. Everything she said was right. If I had actually listened, I would have avoided debt, built wealth faster, and slept a lot better at night. So in this video, I want to share the 7 money tips from my mom that I wish I followed sooner, because they're not just cute pieces of advice from a different generation. They're timeless strategies that actually work, especially in today's unpredictable world. If you've ever felt overwhelmed with money or like you're trying to figure it all out on your own, this might be the exact guidance you didn't know you needed. Let's dive in. Your future self will be so glad you watched this. I remember my mom looking me dead in the eye and saying, "Save the first dollar you ever make." At the time, I laughed. I was 18, had just cashed my first check, and couldn't wait to spend it. New shoes, takeout, whatever made me feel rich for a second. But now? Man, I realized she wasn't just talking about saving, she was talking about discipline, about mindset. That first dollar isn't about the amount. It's about creating a system in your brain that says, I don't spend everything I touch. Back then, I thought saving was for old people or folks with real jobs. Turns out, saving early builds habits that stick harder than you think. And now I tell everyone, if you want to learn how to make money, first learn how to keep it. It's kinda like that moment in The Pursuit of Happiness when Chris finds a few dollars and guards it like his life depends on it. That's the energy I missed. If I had saved just 10% of every dollar I earned since high school, I'd be sitting on 5 figures easy by now. It's not just a finance tip, it's how personal finance starts to shift your whole mindset. So if you're out here chasing passive income, trying to start a business, or just tired of being broke every month, start by saving the smallest amount every single time. Even if it's just $1, it adds up, and more importantly, it rewires how you see money. And wait till you see what happens when you stop spending money you don't even have yet. Man, I used to roll my eyes every time my mom told me, if you can't afford it in cash, you can't afford it at all. I thought she was just being dramatic. But now that I've felt the pressure of debt firsthand, trust me, she was spot on. Credit cards feel like free money until the bill hits and suddenly you're drowning. It's wild how quick $200 turns into $2,000 if you're not tracking your spending and living off tomorrow's paycheck. Back then, I'd swipe my card for sneakers, dinners, random stuff I didn't even need, just to keep up. Felt like I was starring in my own version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, except I wasn't rich, and I definitely wasn't happy. Debt doesn't just take your money, it hijacks your peace. You're stressed, you're working just to make payments, and your dreams take a back seat. That's not living, it's surviving paycheck to paycheck with fake freedom. Want to know what finally made it click for me? Seeing my friend almost lose his car because he kept pushing payments with credit cards. That hit hard. So I stopped pretending I could afford things I couldn't. Started asking myself, would I buy this if I had to use cash right now? Most of the time, the answer was no. That question saved me from dumb buys and helped me build actual financial education and habits that stick. And look, I'm not saying credit cards are evil. They're tools, if you use them right. But using them as a lifeline when you're already broke? That's a trap. Start using your money to build wealth, not to chase temporary highs. Once I shifted from how do I afford this now to how do I afford freedom, everything changed. And speaking of change, wait till you hear what happened when I started choosing quality over quantity. Man, I used to roll my eyes every time I saw my mom at the kitchen table, notebook open, calculator in hand, sipping lukewarm coffee while writing down every single expense. I thought it was overkill until I was broke, again, wondering where the hell my paycheck went. That's when it hit me, budgeting isn't about being cheap, it's about freedom. Real financial education starts when you stop avoiding your numbers and start facing them head-on. Personal finance ain't about luck, it's about tracking your moves like a game plan. You ever watch Moneyball? That scene where they win games not by big flashy players, but by tracking data and making smart, consistent choices? That's what budgeting is. You're not trying to impress anyone, you're just making the system work for you. I started using apps like Anab and Mint, and honestly, it changed my life. Suddenly, I wasn't panicking at the end of the month anymore. I knew what was coming in, what was going out, and where to cut the fat. If you don't know your numbers, you can't build anything. Want to start a business? You'll need a budget. Dream of owning a home or building passive income streams? Gotta know where your dollars are hiding. It's like trying to win a race with a blindfold on. Budgeting gives you vision. It shows you the truth, and sometimes, yeah, it stings. But it's the kind of pain that leads to power. And here's the real kicker: when you budget, you start telling your money what to do instead of wondering where it went. You stop playing defense and start playing offense. That's how wealth is built, from intention, not from chaos. And trust me, once you get the hang of it, you'll feel rich, even before the money piles up. Now, what if the next habit you picked up could save you hundreds a month and extend your life? Let's get into that. For years, I laughed whenever my mom told me to cook at home. Fast food's faster, I'd say, ignoring the fact that I was bleeding cash one burger at a time. Eventually, I looked at my bank statement and nearly fainted, over $400 a month just on takeout. That's not even counting the late-night delivery splurges. Once I started meal prepping, I realized I wasn't just saving money, I was taking control. Learning to cook changed the game for me. And no, I'm not talking about becoming a gourmet chef overnight. I started simple: chicken stir-fry, tacos, pasta with homemade sauce. It became a habit, one that gave me more than savings, it gave me peace of mind. If you've ever watched Breaking Bad, you know how methodical Walter was in the kitchen. That's how I approached cooking. Prep, portion, plan, boom, you're saving hundreds a month without even noticing. This habit alone boosted my personal finance game more than any finance tips I'd read online. It taught me discipline, helped me avoid impulse spending, and freed up extra cash for investments or building my emergency fund. Plus, I actually started feeling better, less bloated, more energy, and way more control. Imagine using that saved money to build passive income or put it into solid ETFs like VOO or SCHD. And if you're like me, busy, tired, overwhelmed, just know that learning 5 basic meals can be a total game changer. My mom always said, a man who knows how to feed himself is halfway to freedom. That stuck with me. It's wild how cooking connects to financial education, but it really does. And speaking of preparing yourself, the next tip might be the most important money habit no one ever taught you in school. I used to do the opposite: get paid, spend like crazy, and hope I had something left to save at the end. My mom? She always told me, pay yourself first. I thought it was just a cute saying until I realized she meant literally save before spending a single dollar. Once I flipped that switch, everything started changing. Saving wasn't an afterthought anymore, it became a priority. The trick is automation. I set up my direct deposit so a chunk goes straight into savings the moment I get paid. It's like it never existed in my checking account. I was shocked how fast it grew once I stopped seeing it as spendable. My mom treated saving like rent: you don't skip it. And she was right. That discipline made me feel powerful for the first time in a long time. There's something psychological about saving first. It shifts your mindset from survival mode to growth mode. You start planning long-term, thinking about investments, travel, freedom, not just scraping by. Even saving $50 a week adds up fast when you're consistent. I used to think only rich people saved, but the truth is, people get rich because they save. So if you're still living paycheck to paycheck, start small, but start now. Pretend saving is your first bill every month. I promise, when an emergency hits or an opportunity shows up, you'll be so glad you did. My mom always said, money saved is stress avoided. And trust me, she wasn't wrong. Growing up, my mom always reminded me of a verse from Proverbs: honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops, then your barns will be filled to overflowing. At the time, I didn't get it. I was more focused on making money and climbing the ladder. But over time, I realized there was so much wisdom in her words. It wasn't just about how much I had, but about giving first, trusting that it would come back in ways I couldn't predict. I started to see how putting my faith in God's provision changed my approach to money. It wasn't about hoarding or holding on tight. It was about believing that if I gave first, whether it was through tithing, helping others, or simply being generous, God would provide what I needed. The more I did this, the more I noticed doors opening that I never expected. Opportunities came that felt like they were meant for me. But it wasn't always easy. There were moments of doubt when I wasn't sure if I could afford to give. However, every time I trusted God with my finances, I saw things fall into place. My mom's advice became more than a Bible verse, it became a way of life. It's a reminder that financial peace doesn't just come from working harder or spending smarter, but from aligning your heart and actions with a higher purpose. Now, when I face financial decisions, I don't just look at numbers, I ask myself, am I honoring God with this? It's a game changer. Trusting Him with my finances has led to more peace, more purpose, and more blessings than I could have ever imagined. If you're feeling uncertain about money, remember this: trust in the process, trust in the plan, and trust that God's provision is greater than your own understanding. I know the road to financial freedom isn't easy, and there's no magic trick that'll get you there overnight. But everything we've talked about, from mindset to budgeting, it all adds up. The key is consistency, and once you start making these changes, you'll begin to notice a shift, not just in your bank account, but in how you view money and life. If you want to take your journey to the next level, there's a resource out there that helped me get clarity on both my finances and my mindset. It's all about nourishing your mind, balancing your money, and transforming your life. It's more than just a financial strategy, it's a holistic approach that will guide you every step of the way. Don't wait for tomorrow to make a change. The best time to start is now. When you align your mindset with your finances, amazing things start to happen. It's time to level up, start today, and let the transformation begin.